Come join us as we weave a tapestry and strengthen our connections. ASU Radio DBS.
Stories have been told.
To another edition of Connecting the Dots on DBS Radio, National Broadcaster DBS Radio, as we do it for you for yet another Saturday. It is August 19 already, and we greet you on this lovely day, Saturday. Nigel Prentice and myself, we have been doing this for a while now, since 2020, and look at where we are in 2023. It is a pleasure, as always, every Saturday to strengthen the bonds that we share as Dominicans, to solidify the connections that we share. Of course, these are the ties that bind. Let me see if Nigel is ready. Nigel, bonjour, comment ouye?
Bonjour, Merla, before. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Nigel. I'm fine. I'm somewhere enjoying the fresh air.
And that you should do fresh air somewhere over there.
Yes. Over there.
Yes.
It's a nice vibes today. But I'm in the Caribbean, enjoying the lushness, the greenery, the white sand beaches, the shopping, and everything that goes with a vacation.
But that's what should happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you still find some time to come and connect on a wonderful Saturday morning.
Yeah, man, Nigel.
I mean, that's the commitment, man. That's the commitment for connecting.
And look, I miss you very here, boy, Nigel. I'm trying to go somewhere else, but anyway. But that's okay. Yeah, man, it's nice. It's nice to once again connect.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm. So how you doing, Nigel? Tell us about the week.
I'm good. The week was all right. I've kind of found the week passed a little quick this week. I don't know. There's some weeks where I say, what? But I can't believe it's Friday already. So that was one of those weeks where I was like, what? Friday already? I'm looking forward to tomorrow. That's what it was like. So a wonderful week. Didn't do much. It was a more relaxing week this week, put it this way. I was able to catch a couple of things on the radio and listen to a few programs, and I've been immersed in the consultations,
Okay. I haven't had a chance to listen to any.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
That's okay. No, you're not supposed to.
But I can always go back and listen. So that's the beauty of social media and all of that.
Yes, yeah, man.
You have created with the online platform, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man,
DBS, of course, always on top of the action, so they can allow you to go back in case you missed it. You can go back. So that's a wonderful thing about DBS.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Nigel, so as I said, so beautiful. But Nigel, I woke up with a song in my head. Nigel?
Which one that now again?
Boy, again, it's that kind of song that makes you, I don't know, want to laugh, but at the same time, it's
one of those
Nigel,
when
I start, you'll continue, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to start this song and you'll continue, right?
Oh, okay, all right. If I know.
Let's go. Ziggling, Mabisto, Penta. Come on, Nigel.
How is that song like that of all songs you can wake up with?
Nigel, I don't know. That's just in my head. You remember that song, right? But so continue, right? Ziggly, Mavisto, Penta, Pente, Poof, something like that.
Hold on. Ziggly, Mavisto, Penta, Poof. I don't know the rest.
No, but we good at the common ref too. And not now, from way back when, years ago. I mean, who would have put that song together? Was this a ring game or something? Maybe we should ask Delia a couple of weeks.
Maybe Delia a couple of weeks should let us know. I think it's a ring game.
Man.
It have to be a ring game. No, is that a ring game? Or Delia
I can understand.
I'm trying to remember, but something tells me it's a ring game.
I think it's a ring game, or anyway, something that, was part of our culture.
Of all songs it have for you to wake up with, that is the one you want to wake up with. this morning.
This is the one. This is the one.
Aye. I'll try to remember Nigel, the rest as we go along, though.
Yeah, as we go along. Nigel, by the way, let's big up Stefan Pascal. I'm sure you have been following.
Oh, yes.
So I was just looking this morning and I realized that he has made it to what the West Indies Rising Stars men's under 19, something like that.
19 captain of the West Indies team going over to for that tour in
yes, isn't India? No,
Sri Lanka.
I think it's Sri Lanka.
Yes,
Sri Lanka. Yes, next week. I think from the 25th.
It is next week. Yes, so that is wonderful celebration. It looks like we're kind of breaking the code now. You know, we had Kavim and
so what time, Papa?
Yes, Kavim and Alec, and now we have Stefan Pascal breaking through. So Benno Pascal and Mom, good morning. Tell you. Proud of you guys and what you've done to Stefan. Congratulations. Yes, and I know Stefan will go out there and do what he has to do.
So he'll be captain for the white ball match, something like that?
Yes,
we congratulate him. He has been doing this for a very, very young age, you know, talent that has been nurtured over the course of the years, and look at where he is now. We just wish him the best as he continues.
Yes, definitely wish him the best. I mean, from school days, you've been hearing about his progress, and, you know, he continued to ensure that he stayed, you know, stuck with it. So congratulations to you, Stefan. I mean, not just being named on the team, but being named co-captain, captain of the white ball team.
Tell you.
That in
itself, an achievement. That's a big feat.
It's an achievement. You know, so it speaks volumes of what, you know, when we get the opportunity, or if they allow us the opportunity, what we can do.
If they allow us,
so many, yes, because there were so many others who did not get that
in the past,
had the skills and, you know, talent to get there. So let's see. Quickly. By
the way, Nigel, where's Hillary? Where's Hillary now? I haven't been following up. Where's Hillary?
Who is Hillary?
Hillary. Isn't there like a tropical storm or something in the
Oh, you mean that? Hillary, Hillary somewhere.
Oh, Nigel, Hillary.
Yes, Hillary is
Where's Hillary now?
The last time I checked, it was over by California area, you know.
Yes, Mexico. It was approaching Mexico, California.
Yes. So it's not threatening us as yet.
Okay.
You know, I mean, the Saharan dust and has been keeping the hurricanes at bay for now. You know, it's been blocking, put it that way. So thanks to Africa and the Saharan dust, keeping them away. So that's good. We haven't had to talk about weather for, you know, and in August, towards the end.
We're in August.
Yes, so, you know, thank you.
But the predictions, it looks like it will be a little busy, though, sometime later down, towards the end of August, early September.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, it's something we get used to in the sense, you know, it's coming every year. As we said, we haven't had much disturbances so far for the season, which is good. And we certainly hope that as the season continues, we expect one or two, you know. By then, I hope you'll be back home, you know, so you'll be able to do your overnighters at DBS and put things together in case there has to be coverage.
You know,
so that's
I hope so myself.
Yes.
Should be
Noreen,
back
Noreen Joseph is saying, she's saying the game it's a game actually. And
it's a game.
Yes, it's a way to check people you want to play a game with. Oh, I don't know what game you want to play.
I can't understand that. No, so when the pen tap is a poop coming out from.
Come on. Look, you open the more story now, Noreen. What game people will have to play people to check and see if I want to play the game? Hey, boy, zingling, poof. I wonder, do you want to play a game?
Boy, look trouble.
Chris Pinchilin will tell us is poof, telele, poof. It was a ring game.
But that doesn't sound like that. Who would make a song like that?
Alvin, you're early. Good morning to you. Shills, Joe's, good morning. You're early. Wants to say good morning to my friends Nigel and Ivona. So yes, it's a game. But anyway, we have games.
Game. Okay.
When you think of the kind of ring games and the way we have them, and I mean in the Commonwealth, it's not easy, you know.
I tell
some
you,
play, moonlight. Some you play during the day. Some you cannot play a certain time. It's man. Is there
man. Some you have to do this Kawe, you know?
Yes, yes. I remember the Kawe one.
And even the boys with Kawe as well, you know. But you have to Kawe and you have
to and boys can Kawe well, you know.
Yeah, and you know that you can remember Invix me and how. Anyway, that's another
Nothing
story. I know
fixed
we have a guest, and I know we can touch on that as well.
But you,
But
yeah,
I tell you, we
of
really had it
course, as
this
a
morning.
storyteller, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
is
as a
there a collection
storyteller.
of the ring games? Has anybody done like a collection of the ring games? Do you know?
I'm
I
not
don't know if
sure.
people.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know. I wonder
I
if
think
there's a. I wonder.
I'm not sure if any writer has really focused on the ring games per se, and I don't. But I've seen it like in local writers, their work. I've seen some of it in their work.
Yes, well,
So
yes, they've kind of
I've seen
infused
some
it
of it in
here
their
and
work.
there, but you know, these are the things that we shouldn't lose though, because
We
I
should
mean,
not. We should not.
these
In
ring
fact, I
games were
plan to put
special.
it. I'm putting it in my writing as well. So that is why I came up with that song this morning. Because I was trying some
Oh,
writing last night.
oh, okay. You're on vacation.
So
You're
I'm
in the
putting it
middle
in
of
my
the
writing
vacation.
as
In
well.
the middle of the vacation, you're writing. That's good.
But yes,
That is
Nigel,
very good.
we can play. We can play. Yeah, man. We can. Nigel, quickly. I read online this morning that gang violence is rising in Haiti. And it is really, really sad what is happening. I think over 2,400 people have been killed recently because of this gang violence.
It is
It's
sad, man.
really
I don't
sad.
know. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Haiti, you know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a way. I don't know what way it is, but we have to find a
Yeah,
way
I
because,
know.
you
Yeah,
know,
man.
I don't think we've tried so many different political solutions and they don't seem to be working. In
Mm-hmm.
terms of the various political parties that's come through and different presidents, and there has to be a
Yeah,
way now because we can't
man, it's
continue
sad.
on that vein, man. I mean, you know, the way the gang violence has escalated, and I know we've been talking about solutions and trying to send a peacekeeping force in there, and we got to find a way. It's probably going to have to be through the arts, man. It's probably going to have to be through the cultural
Man,
stuff, you
Nigel,
know.
yeah, I tell you.
But
I
we
mean,
have to find a way.
Haiti has seen decades of instability, disasters, economic woes, poverty, and so much more, And it's a
So
beautiful
much.
country.
It
It's a
is.
beautiful country.
It's a wonderful country,
Yeah.
man. So much to
Mm-hmm.
offer, and you know
Mm-hmm.
the vastness of it, and
Mm-hmm.
the architecture that's there, and the whole history behind it, and the culture
Yeah.
and the people, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when you forget that side of it and you look at all the things Haiti has to offer, you ask
Yeah.
yourself, man, I mean, colonial rule certainly has
Mm-hmm.
destroyed
Mm-hmm.
it in some
Yeah, it
way,
has. It has.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the Haitian people have to take control and they have to recognize, like all of the Caribbean countries that went through, although
Yeah.
Haiti went through
Yeah.
more than us,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, France kept bleeding it for all those years. So we just hope and pray, man, but there has to be a way.
It
Otherwise, it's
has
going
to
to be
be a
more
way.
mass exodus, right? Otherwise, it's going to be more Haitians trying to flee Haiti and have to
Mm-hmm.
find refuge in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Gang
Yeah.
warfare has taken over the capital, and it's really sad. So Haiti, we are story still,
We
but
are, we are, we
something
are,
has
we
to
are.
happen to change this,
Yes.
change what is
Yes,
happening,
yes, as David Rudder says, one day we'll turn around and look inside you.
and look inside you. That's
Yeah,
it.
we
That's where
got to
the answer
find
is.
a way.
Sometimes the answer is blowing in the wind, and we fail to recognize
We
it.
fail
If we
to
just
recognize it,
listen
man.
to the universe, listen to what it is saying. So Haiti will have to fix. We have to help Haiti, but Haiti has to realize as well. The people have to realize as well that they need to do something to fix this. The increasing
Yeah, oh
gangs
yeah, man,
will
I'm
not
telling
work.
you,
That's not the answer. That's
that
not
is
the
not the
answer.
answer. We got to find a way.
Yeah.
We got to find a way.
Yeah. So, Elijah, let's take the book quickly and bring on our guest.
Yes, we do have a guest is coming in. Let's see what the
What is the
people are
book
saying in the
saying?
book. Alvin wants to say, I wonder you realize that Hard Laugh Nigel had a Norrin book.
Say that again, Nigel. I didn't get that.
Alvin says, if you realize the hard laugh, the way I laugh when I read Norrin's post.
Oh,
So I
okay.
probably know something about the game. Very
Eh,
well, Alvin.
I suspect you, Nigel.
Very well. According to them, it vicks me.
Invix me, very well.
Very well. And let's see, Tanisha Ramsey wants to say it would also be interesting to know the origin and meanings of the ring games. Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, we need to find out where they came from and what they mean. Mimi Thomas,
What they
welcome
mean.
to Connecting the Dots. So, Godimmer, please introduce your guests. That way, we will introduce them when we're ready. First time you're coming on our show. I'm just joking, my dear. Good morning to you. Appreciate it. Noreen wants to tell us about the game. Is the people in the circle and one goes wrong, pointing at them saying ziggly, ziggly, mabisto, penta, penta, poof. And if you point on the person, that person have to now come into the circle. Thank you, Noreen. Explaining. So I've got nothing to tell me. Yes. So we are ready for our guest. We have a few.
Yes, we are ready for our guest.
But before me come first, let's introduce our guest.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's really a pleasure to bring on our guest today on Connecting the Dots, Nigel. I have a few of his books way back when, especially when I came to DBS Radio way back when in 1993. I would I started collecting a lot of the local work by our local artists, of course, and I have some of his books. So it's really a pleasure to have him on. If I were at home, Nigel, I would have spread out all the books on the table.
Yes,
and you'll see what I have.
Yes. I know you have quite a collection of those. Yes.
Yeah. His anthology of poems really resonates with me, and it is really a pleasure to welcome Giftus John. So Nigel, go ahead.
Yes, it is a pleasure indeed. Good morning to you, Giftus John, my former teacher. Yes, he taught me at the SMA. So good morning to you, my friend. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. I can't see you yet, but hopefully I'll be seeing you. I hope we can hear you. How are you doing, Giftus?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I am doing wonderful, man. It's Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday. Our viewers and listeners, they like to see people.
They like to see people.
So at some point, if you want to turn on your camera, that would be nice. If you want to, hopefully you will. But it's a pleasure to have you. We appreciate it. And, we're going to connect with you and talk about your works and, talk about growing up in Dominica and, your days at the SMA teaching and your writings and what you've been doing, your paintings and everything else. So welcome again, man. Nice to have you.
My pleasure. And hello, Ivona.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you on.
And we can see him now. Yes.
Yeah, you see me now.
Yes, we can see you. We can hear you. So now we feel we connected.
Yes, Nigel, I'm seeing you after many, many years.
Many years.
See what this program has done, eh?
Yes, that's what connecting does. It connects us again,
By the way, Giftus, even before we delve into who you are and all of that, can you remember that Ziggly Mabisto that we're talking about?
Poof.
Yes.
Soup, kilele poof.
Oh, soup. There's a soup in it?
You see it?
Zup kilele poof. Poof.
Okay, all right.
I think it was a game that, when you end up on the poof, you were excluded from the game they were playing. It was like a ring game. And you go wrong and you go ziggly, and whoever ends up being the poof is the one who's poofed and kicked out.
Okay,
so that was what the poof is. Poof, go. Okay.
Poof. Okay.
I'm sure all of us growing up must have been involved in that game one way or the other when you're growing up.
Oh yes, definitely so. And we'll be talking about those gifts and how you've been able to capture, quite a few folk stories and stuff in your paintings and your writings and all that. So we'll be looking at those. So I mean, we always like to begin with our guests. First of all, as we say, it's a pleasure having you on. If you've not been on Connecting the Dots before, either listening from now on, Saturdays, 9:30 to 11, that's all you can do. Listen to Connecting the Dots, okay?
I hear you.
Yes. So we always like to find out from our guests in terms of, what part of Dominica they're from, and then we're going to go through the childhood a little, and so on. So, I mean, what part of Dominica are you from, Giftus?
West Coast Village, St. Joe.
St. Joe, vibrant community, still is.
Yes. Yeah, I'm from St. Joseph, but presently residing in the US. So, but
we're coming to presently residing in the US. We have to get the back
everything, almost everything.
So you're from St. Joe, community of St. Joe, back street to every area in St. Joe.
Ocho Bando.
All right. So in terms of that though, I mean, did you go to school earlier in St. Joe, like preschool, primary school? Was that where you went to school?
Yeah, I went to primary school. And from there moved on to SMA.
Oh, we have you. Well, you know. Alvin, good morning.
Oh.
SMA. So, but before we say that SMA, we'll come to SMA. Let me not say SMA again.
So that was a progression.
Yes, but let me not say SMA again.
You got
But
the
in primary
SMA.
school,
I heard already. The Catholic school, the all boys school.
so you did primary school, St. Joe. What was it like? Do you recall, I mean, the school days in primary school, St. Joe?
You know, when they say school days were happy days,
Yeah.
I am one of those who can say that about going to school in St. Joseph.
Oh.
Back then it was not as you know, let's say hyped up as you have with primary schools now. Everything was simple, you know. I mean,
did you have a uniform back then?
No,
and can you remember the
some parents gave the kids a blue blouse, or blue dress. Some parents would give their sons the khaki pants. But there was no real set procedure. Usually the only time they would insist that we wore a uniform was if we were involved in, let's say, a parade at the Windsor Park. And usually they had these National Day events and schools would attend. But otherwise, you went to school as you wanted. And so was it.
Interesting.
Were you that's interesting that there was no set uniform, but all the kids would still be there. I mean, at school. Was there like a lot of activity, like sporting activity, or were the teachers just into books, or were the kids?
No. On a typical school day, in the morning, all the girls would be spread throughout the area. Up school and down school, as we would call them, playing the different games, rounders, little rolling games, and this and that. The boys would be on the savannah, one section playing cricket, one football, guys running around with each other, and a few would sit around, but everybody was doing something. And when that school bell rang, then we stopped. But it was always a very active time between, let's put it, 7:30 until maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. Because even after the end of the day, the bell would ring at the end of the day, many of us would stick around and play cricket on the savannah, or find some little area in the village to keep playing. So it was always something to do, always active. And nobody had to run home to watch the television. Nobody was on the cell phone. And many of us created our own games. So that was a simple, easygoing life.
What was the community like, though, especially in terms of the elders? Were they looking out for you all? Could you say that, the community raised a child that rings true in terms of your days growing up?
In my days, yes. Because I know if I were to have done something wrong in St. Joseph, before I got home, my parents would know that I was doing something that was right. If you were walking the street and you use a curse word, or you were going to fight, somebody older than you would straighten you up. It didn't matter whose child you were. People felt obligated to be involved. And you dare not go home and tell your mom, well, so-and-so straightened me out. Because, after that, you would also get a little spanking. Because your parents would have thought that there was no need for you to be cursing or fighting on the streets or at school or anywhere else. So it was a place where everybody knew each other, basically, and where everybody looked out for each other.
Yeah, the whole community spirit and so on. Did you go like in the river? Did you go river bathing on the beach, that kind of thing?
Pick mangoes, climb coconut trees.
Well, I never climbed coconut trees. I don't think I was brave enough to do that. But when we grew up in St. Joseph, there used to be what we called, I think there's still a few trees of it, Miwis. Nobody has even said the correct English name for it, but it was small, yes. We also went hunting guavas. That area above where the present Isaiah Thomas High School is, used to be called a yard. And usually on a Friday afternoon, that was the favorite time. All of us, well, almost all the kids in the village would end up there hunting for guavas, or some of us would be going around looking for the miwis, which is a small red berry that grew in St. Joseph. And others would be in the river, or on the weekend, many would walk up to a place called Dam. It was basically the intake for the village river, village water system. Used to be in the earlier days. And we would hike up to Dam and bathe and spend days up there and hunting mangoes, really, because that area of St. Joseph was, packed with mango trees. So kids around that time had things that they were involved in. They found things to do. They created their own games, and there was nothing to really keep you from being out there, except if you really wanted to be inside. But there was stuff. And if you walked through the village, there would be little cricket games going on almost every corner of the village. Guys would just, take over a little back street, and you have a group of guys playing, or you go up the barn, or you go Church Lane. There was always a little pocket, or the girls would be playing wrongers, or hopscotch, or little marble games and stuff. So there were things that the young people in those days were able to do, or as I said, we created our own games, we created our own fun. Even at night, so you go out there and you play hoop away and all that kind of stuff. So people were creative. Yeah, kids were creative.
Nice. I like that, Nigeria. What about the bell though at the church? I'm just trying to picture how it was like in St. Joseph. Were you fascinated by some things, especially the bell that would ring? Would the bell, would be
that's a hallmark in St. Joe. Yeah, it's a hallmark in St. Joe. That bell has been there for years, and it used to signal us in the earlier days. It would ring at half an hour before school was supposed to begin. So everybody knew it was time to get ready for school. It rang at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And we knew it was time to head home for lunch. And it rang at 6 o'clock. And the sexton or the helper would always ring that bell. We had that special ring for the death, announcing the death of a villager.
Okay.
So we knew that somebody had passed away whenever we heard that bell. When someone got married, and I think there are 3 bells up there, and they would ring, and you could hear that bell for a good distance. I believe sometimes based on the way the wind was blowing, if you were as far as Mero, the possibility that you could have heard that bell too. But this bell still exists, it's still being used, and it's a hallmark of St. Joseph.
Okay, Koshla Tikasoni.
Yeah.
All right. Nigel, where do we go to now?
What about writing? So would you say that during your primary school days, you did any kind of work? Were you encouraged to do any writing by teachers during that time?
No, I didn't. We just did what we had to do in school. And I wasn't really into writing at my primary school days. It was more doing compositions and making sure that I got good grades. So when I go home, my parents wouldn't be, well, what happened here? So a lot of concentration was on that. Plus, I was a very avid sports fan. Man, I love my cricket and my football. And like every other young boy in St. Joseph, we wanted to emulate guys like Caleb Laura and Cecil Joseph and all the others who made it to the Windward Islands team or the Dominica team. And so you had you found a packed savannah with about 5 different games going on at the same time. And we all shared the savannah. There was no give me my space or give me my room. We all shared that same, and God knows how, even when the grown guys were playing with the cock balls or the leather balls, that's one of us never got hurt. But we found ways to, as I say, God watches over his children, right? So we were blessed. The guys played the games, so we all shared the same space together. And the girls found places to play their rounders, or they had to play hopscotch. So to me, it was more play, have fun, just make sure I pass my exams or my tests, as we would say back then. So when I got home, I didn't get an earful from my mom or my dad.
So we're gonna move from St. Joe a little bit, but we'll come back to St. Joe because I mean, both Ivone and myself would like to find out about the kind of music that you were listening to then, kind of, what was happening, the whole, social vibes that was going on and so on. But you moved from primary school, and of course you moved to Roseau to go to SMA. Generally, what was the experience like in SMA?
Let me state before I jump to SMA. I don't know if, well, you should know, Hillsborough Agricultural Station. It used to be called Cocoa Center. That's where I basically grew up. My dad was the foreman at that place, and we had to walk. My sisters and I had to walk or get onto a truck every morning from there.
Bedford truck.
Bedford truck to St. Joseph and back.
Wow.
And sometimes, if it were not the right conditions to go home, we spend the time with our grandmother. Or sometimes you would spend maybe a whole month with my grandmother in St. Joseph. But Cocoa Center was the center of our lives away from school. So we had the best of two worlds. St. Joseph, with all its fun excitement, Cocoa Center, its tranquility, its greenery and nature and everything else. And then that's what happened when I got accepted at SMA. My parents decided, well, okay, we can't have you walking down from Cocoa Center to Hillsborough every morning and every night and trying to get to school. So they moved to, my dad built a house in St. Joe, we moved to St. Joseph. And from there, I had to get to SMA and learn the new routine and get into the act of having a school uniform and dealing with other guys that I had never met before and creating friendships and everything else. So that was one of a major turning point in my life.
And during your time at SMA, of course, you would have had the brothers, right? They were the ones who were there at the time. Do you recall some of the brothers that were there?
Yeah, I remember some of them. When I first got there, we had guys like Brother Lolo, Brother Sullivan, who was the principal at the time, Brother Bassett, and one or two of it I can't remember exactly right now. And there were a few late teachers at that time also. So it was a completely different world. And the day I got registered was the very first day I had even stepped onto the grounds of SMA. So it was a kind of a weird experience, and then having to wear his uniform and the tie and all. So it took a little while to really get used to it, and the change of routine. But after a while, it became, as you yourself would know, Nigel, it became something that became part of you. It's normal, get up from school, get into the classroom, hear the bell ring, end of a period, another one starts. Comes Mr.
You
John.
mentioned you wore tie with your uniform?
Yes, and those days
so the crest would have come after.
We had our tie and our caps
A cap?
Yeah. Yes, we had our ties, no caps. We had our SMA caps that we wore. That was part of the uniform. You had to have a tie and your cap. And
I wonder if your guys still have any pictures of those, man.
I have one in my, cap with my tie on. Very first one. And it just shows, it links us to the past. In those days, again, life was simple. And we are in, wherever it was a DGS uniform, Convent High School, Wesley High School, SMA uniform. It's kind of showed who you were at the time. Because in those days, getting to high school was run through that kind of selective process. You had to pass an exam here, you had to do this here. Sometimes you had to make sure that your parents had the money to send you to school if you didn't get a government scholarship or bursary. So it was a very selective process, and many of us took it for granted, I think some. But, I was in high school. And there were not too many parents who were able to get the kids into high school. So those of us who got accepted to the high schools at those times were, in a way, very lucky, privileged, and you had to be top of your class. And at least many of us made good use of it.
You ever thought of becoming a brother whilst you were at SMA? You ever thought of the religious life?
Becoming a brother. Many people thought I was going to become a priest, but I didn't see myself being a brother. The thing is, when you get there, or when I got there, it was like seeing something, something a different world, and it never really crossed my mind to be there. My goal in life was to become a cricketer. That was what I was, and I got in trouble for that quite a lot because my parents were very strict, and I would be out there for all the other guys in St. Joseph playing cricket, or Nigel, at the end of the day, those days at 1:30, when the SMA cricket team would be practicing at the Windsor Park. I wouldn't help on the truck to go down. I would go join the guys and stand on the side and just enjoy what they were doing until I realized, I was going to get in trouble for that, so I had to stop it. But it was just that I had a serious love for cricket, and even with basketball, when we ended up having the house games, I had to get involved too. So I stayed around. I was one of the better basketball players. I wanted to enjoy the fun too, so stayed around. And if I got home to see if my shirt or my pants dirty, then I have to deal with the consequences, But those were fun days, and those I'll never regret.
What about the SMA experience? Coming to, I guess, town, and having to leave there for a few and form new friendships and everything else.
Yeah.
But in terms of the school and your school days and the experience, what was it like at the SMA for you?
They say school days were happy, happy, happy days, right? In my days, for example, I got a government scholarship, and usually the ministry decide which school you should attend. I wanted to go to the grammar school because...
Say that again?
Say that again first.
Listen to what I'm going to say. I wanted to go to grammar school. You know why? Because of the sports. There was cricket. There was.
That's the only reason you wanted to go to the Dominican grammar school.
Yeah, because I was crazy.
I wanted to jump up there.
So I wanted to go to grammar school. So when my dad would have got the information I was going to SMA, it's like, man. And my dad said, "That's where you're gonna go. That's where you're gonna go." So I know my being involved on sports day and playing cricket on certain days were over. But when I got into SMA, I knew I had to block it out. And up to this day, I always tell people when I speak to them, but I think that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. having gone to the school. I have no regrets whatsoever. I think I may have achieved more than I would have wanted if I had gone to DGS. Maybe I would have spent more time concentrating on sports. But again, my parents were very strict, and I think they expected me to do very well educationally. And again, with SMA, you had that kind of, stay the course.
SMA.
You know what I mean? And again, my parents were very religious, so I think they were the happiest people alive when I was told that you had to go to SMA.
Okay.
So
after
6 years there as a student, and I walked out, I can say that was the right choice in the end.
And so from the SMA, because I want to leave the SMA now. From the SMA, you went on to
from SMA soon.
So from the SMA, you moved on to, you went to college?
I went to civil college, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what about
what was that like?
What just to tie in 5 owners point about from SMA? I mean, did you start to develop that interest in writing at the SMA, or was it after?
Oh, yes. Where did that passion for writing come?
The passion started at SMA.
Oh.
I think the thing is when I was in second form, and we had to write those compositions every now and then, and I realized I was doing okay. And then I got this sort of weird love to write. I couldn't write songs really, so I started penning little poems, and when I wrote my little compositions, I realized I was doing okay. And by the time I got to third form, I started writing full-length stories and poems. And one day I decided, well, you know what? Maybe I should submit one of those to the Star newspaper. And from that point, it was accepted, and I've never looked back. So I think, and I think it was Mr. Walker or something like that, who was the English teacher. And there was always that, make sure that you do this right, you say this right, you do this, and you follow paragraphing and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it built this sort of direction that I was supposed to follow. So from food form all the way up to today.
I also read somewhere that you submitted poems to the radio station back then.
Yes, I was a frequent contributor to the radio station. I used to be there on weekends or sometimes during the week, but people knew the voice and they didn't know who the guy was because I wasn't really out there all the time. But was it Royston Ellis used to have a program in there. And there was also
Royston Ellis?
Yes, he used to be an author in there.
At DBS Radio?
At DBS Radio. There was another program also where you were invited to come and just present your work. So I got this sort of opening exposure, and I think it all started when I won the first place in the National Day Poetry Competition. And once that happened, I realized, well, okay. And that same year, I also won the National Short Story Competition. So it's like I say, well, I guess if I can win both competitions on the same try, I may as well stick to it. And it has been my passion from that day on.
Just quickly, in terms of, because I think Alvin Thomas is mentioning something that's kind of interesting here about being at the SMA, whether you are the SMA or BGS or convent or whatever the case is. Was it a situation where you had country people, the country boy coming to town, coming to SMA? Was there any kind of friction, or was there getting along? What was the socialization like between the country folks and the town folks? Was it a new experience? Was it, how did you handle that?
Just put it that way. I didn't have a problem with that. I think I had more issues with some country boys more than I had with Rosa boys.
Oh, yeah?
Boys from around. But again, I think in my day, there were so many other guys from the country area that you could deal with, right? I mean, there were quite a few of us who were there.
So you hardly heard that term country bookie?
I heard it, but you know what? I never got fazed about it. And plus, again, St. Joseph had a little history about it. I mean, people knew St. Joe was, a main village. And I think there was some sort of regard to people from that area.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And I think one or two guys, I used to try to, but I wasn't a fighter, so I would simply just back off and stop. But in those days, really, there was this cliquish thing. I mean, all the boys from Roseau would stick one area, the boys from Michel one area, St. Joe areas one area, and it continued for up to this day. Whenever I meet some of my friends who are from Point Michel, I always remind them about it, because when we entered on the morning, you entered the grounds of SMA. There were sections of the school building where you knew exactly who were there. The area where the Point Michel guys used to gather, where the boys from Roseau would gather, where the St. Joseph guys would gather. So we all had little cliques and that kind of stuff. But I think eventually things changed. And as you move from the second form, third form to the higher forms, we got more integrated, more, appreciative of each other. And usually if the guys from Roseau or Newton or the Goodwill area realized that, you had what maybe they were looking for, help, friendship, maybe to play on the football team or the cricket team. Then,
and St. Joseph, of course, was well known for sport,
Yeah, we were
fine sportsmen, even to this day.
Yeah, we are as I would say, the mecca of cricket and football. So, really, I would say more cricket. We've produced so many outstanding cricketers over the years. It's a pity that we, up to this day, I shake my head that we've never had the opportunity of having a good cricket ground. But when you consider what this village has produced, the kind of cricketers we produce on that, as we call it back in Central, the donkey back, could imagine what we could have done. But again, I think with what we had, we were appreciative of what we had, and we made good use of it.
So from SMA, sixth form, another new experience again, right? At sixth form, because you're going to be meeting different people again from different parts, different schools, different communities, areas of Dominica. What was Sifokol like for you?
Sifokol was good. I think at that point in time, I created new friendships. At my time, because I did 1 year away from school while I did some substitute teaching before I went to sixth form. And when I got there, none of the guys that I went to school with at my time, the year before, were there. Or even were there, they were maybe on a different level. But I created new friendships. And many of those friendships are very, very strong today. Guys like Gabriel Murillo, Paul Joseph,
Wow.
Anthony Comoda, who passed recently. And not of those guys that we are Robles Jones. And a number of ladies who, my sister, Johanna, was also at school around at the same time. And I became friends with those that she knew also. So I basically got into sixth form, not lonely, not trying to find out. In fact, some people, when they found out who I was, oh, that's you. And we built friendships. And if you want to know how over those years and up to this day, I think I have had a maybe better relationship with some of those guys. I think because when you get to that age, you're more mature, you understand life's challenges much more. And one thing I want to tell you is 99% of those guys were from the GS that I, created those friendships with. And it's amazing that, we are in this battle together. We're here together to learn. We're here to better ourselves. And I'm still thankful that, I got the opportunity to meet those guys and some of the ladies. And eventually ended up where I did after 2 years.
What about I know I'm gonna like that section too in terms of the whole socio-economic vibes going on, the whole social milieu.
What was happening?
Black power movements, the music and so on. What was that for you having to go through that?
Okay, the Black Power movement stuff, well, again, I want to say one thing too. I was a very timid guy.
You were timid?
I was.
Because I wanted to ask you earlier, if you were one who would be described as, you enjoyed being the sense of attraction, or if you were unassuming, or if you were quiet, you tell me you're timid.
Yes, all of those put together.
Wow.
I cannot basically tried not to get in trouble. I tried to stay away from the rah-rah and everything else. But when you got into SME and you met some of those rough-up guys and guys who were prepared to make you do what they wanted or find that you were not being up to par with them, you had to sometimes stand up and I'm going to fight. I never knew how to fight. I didn't have the guts to really stay and push back. So I kind of dealt with it in my own psychological way, as I would say. But the thing is, as you grow along life, you have all those issues. I know if I ever stepped into any Black Power movement rally or any issue like that, when I got home, I wouldn't hear the end of it. So I was basically told in no uncertain ways, you got to walk the straight line. You know what I mean? In my days, you had a lot of the issues at the SMA with the brothers and everything else. And I was at school when this whole stuff went down. And I dare not walk out from school because I know I'd done that. When I got home to St. Joseph, something else would have been going on. So I sat in the classroom while everybody else was out there screaming their heads off.
Wow. So you're not interested in going to the rallies and maybe especially on May Day and, just to get a feel of what was happening, especially in the capital?
Not really. The only thing that and again, I didn't want, besides being very careful of not ruffling the feathers on the wrong side or getting my parents, because my parents were very walk the straight line. They don't want to be seen as being, loud against the system, as you would say. And usually you had people say, well, if you do this or you say this, it's going to affect your family too. So you cannot walk the straight line.
Yeah,
But
I
then,
think somebody's mentioning here, Tanisha is mentioning that Mr. Shadin and Ma Shadin was serious. What is your
Tanisha,
parents?
that's my niece.
Oh, that's your niece.
Yeah, hi, Tanisha. Yeah,
Ma Shadin and Mr. Shadin, that's your mom and
yeah,
dad.
that's my niece name, Shaden. They were very, very,
Shadin, okay.
yeah, they were very, very straight, and you had to walk the straight line. And even when you see again, some people saw it as being timid or being scared or being whatever it is. But you have to have some point swallow your own pride, or you got to understand that, okay, I'm living home with my parents. I don't want to walk into the house and they're mad at me, or we're fighting each other or whatever it is. I could go to political meetings and stand up. When I was a member of the National Youth Council, go to rallies and that kind of stuff. But they will accept the fact that if I were with a group or so, okay, but to really stand up and say, this is what I think and this is what I want to do, we had to walk the straight line.
Okay. But did you enjoy music,
Kadans
in particular? When Jeff Joe came on the scene with Grandmax, what did that do to you as a native of St. Joseph?
Could you say that again?
I was saying that Kadas music in particular, and when Jeff Joe came on the scene, how did you feel about that, being from St. Joseph?
Oh, well, there was a lot of pride within the village, among people and in people, and like so, because every single one of the members in that band were at one point or the other my classmates in school, primary school. We grew up together. We played cricket on the back roads together. Every single one of us were involved in Adonis Sports Club, which was something like a precursor to Grandmax. So there was this pride, man. There was Grandmax, because all we were hearing was about swinging stars and Bell's combo and everything else. And now in St. Joe, we're saying, okay, we have ours. We once had our own. There was a band before that, but when Grandmax came on the scene, and the way they took over the music world, everybody was Grandmax, and you wanted to identify with the band. And yes, I've lost two of them, Kevin and Jeff, and there is a pride in St. Joseph about Grandmax. It doesn't matter whether you were a right or a left or what. Once it's Grandmax, we all follow in line. And I think this was that band, that group of guys created a name for the village, St. Joe, St. Joe, St. Joe. And I think this sets a standard that many other bands in the island wanted to emulate, or even other bands following in St. Joseph wanting to emulate. Because they did not only just go out there and sing, they sang about things that affected us. They taught the world, they made people know about the tiny village, they made people know about Dominica. And we are blessed, or we have been blessed to have a village the size of the village that we have and the facilities that we have to have produced some of Dominica's top cricketers, football players, and musicians. We have not been able to really crack on the other areas. But in terms of those three areas of life, we can stand on our own. And I believe if we were to put a team together of cricketers and footballers from St. Joseph, we could have a whole team to represent the island in that spot over the years. So it's good. We've had our own social and economic challenges in St. Joseph, but there have been examples set that our young people can follow. And as I say, if the young people don't want to follow the examples, it is a responsibility of this older generation, the older folks, government, village council, and all, to put things in place to give the young people opportunities for growth. And we didn't have much when you're growing up, but we made. But some of the things that we used to play cricket with, taking the ball of a coconut tree to create a bat, use the tape that was used to wrap banners, to make a cricket ball. Those things are gone. Now you're moving to a different era, and kids want to be part of what's going on, and we need to create situations for that. So it's, when I was in St. Joseph, I was all involved in youth activities. And personally, I know the issues that some of the young people faced and continue to face. But these are challenges that we all have to try to work on and fix up.
Wow. What an interesting story from Giftus John, our guest, Nigel. But I have the urge, to get some of his literary work. I just, want to listen to at least a verse of a poem or something, maybe a quick quacking or something.
I'm sure he can
Can you
share
share
that
something with us
We
this
should
time?
we should make Nigel do that, right?
Okay, well, I have yeah. Nigel can do it as well, so you begin.
He
Nigel
was a
will
good,
follow.
one thing I could say about him, he was a good student. He was a good guy.
Always
And
was.
I always see him as a cool guy. Right, Nigel?
Definitely so. And for those who don't know, actually, whilst we were at SMA and Giftus was teaching me English at SMA, he actually encouraged me to be part of the newsletter. And he was the one who said, go ahead, you can do this. And I eventually became the editor of the newspaper at SMA.
He saw the talent in you.
Yes, because we had a newspaper going on, and he was like, go ahead and do this. And I became the editor there and continued the writing. So I guess he must have seen something in the writing with me as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for that back then. And we continue today. So yes.
I tell you, that's another, one of the highlights of connecting the dots as well. Exactly what is happening here. If your teacher, by the way, Nigel taught me as well, Giftus. So look at what is happening.
Oh,
he was not my class teacher, but Nigel taught me as well at the Dominican Grammar School.
So we got a triangle here.
It is.
You see?
That's cool.
Okay, so let's get some of your work.
Okay, the one I'm going to read here is the colors of her life. It could mean, or it's kind of, I would say, a double meaning. You could use it one way or the other. With various tones of ink, she paints her life as she puts the pieces together, punctuated with sloppy dabs and loose, carefree strokes onto the stretched canvas placed on the shaky easel before her. Against a backdrop of pain, neglect, and hurt, she tells her story of abuse and fear. A story once fresh and vibrant, now chapped and peeling off the damaged canvas she now desperately tries to repair. Once a beautiful picture, now cracked and dull, as she continually attempts to forget her plight and fate. A single mom, deceived, sad, lonely, and hurt. She struggles to add brighter colors to revive this now faded portrait. Not too long ago, she painted a beautiful picture with warm, soothing colors, drawn with such delicate touch. Each image patiently sketched, clearly outlined and highlighted as she detailed her story, one she now sadly has to retouch. It is raining now, and the colors on the canvas streak down slowly in crooked, messy lines before her. As the raindrops wash away, the sad images forever, leaving her a blank canvas and the chance for a makeover.
Wow.
Once a beautiful picture, no cracked and dull.
This piece has numerous meanings.
It does. I mean, the power of words, man.
It's kind of disguise, it's kind of
I got it.
open. And also since I paint, I could see myself on the canvas doing exactly what I'm writing. So it's like I'm trying to use both of my artistic abilities to write a poem. I'm using my painting experience and I'm using my writing. So they can have a marriage of talents or mind or whatever it is. So, but it's a little hidden disguise stuff here, as I would say, a little whatever you can take it. And again, as I say, poetry, just like in music and stuff, doesn't have only one meaning. It can be interpreted in so many different ways. And it's just like when I paint, somebody comes and stands and look at the painting, and I say, what do you see? And Nigel will say, well, I see a coconut tree. And somebody else says, no, I see a man waving his hand with his gloves wide open. And there's so many different things. So that is what I love doing. I try to disguise. Sometimes it's not disguise, it's glaring, and I hear about it. But it's been part of me for a long, long time, as Nigel knows. So,
what inspires you to write, though? Is it something that you look at what's going on in the society, you listen to the news, or you just go in a quiet corner, or just reflections? What is it that you put into your writing?
Yeah, where does the inspiration come from?
All of the above. When I first started, it was, write little pieces together and say that's it. But as you grow, as you get a little more control of what you want to express, I realized that I could write and share what is not only within my own feeling, my own being, but what other people are also feeling, but not able to express. And I always see, just like the playwright would, when he puts a play together, he expects the audience to get a message from what he did. And sometimes I'm sitting next to Nigel and we walk out of the play that night and we have two completely different pictures. We come to two different conclusions. And this is the power of the written word, the spoken word. And I try now quite a bit to, as I would say, infiltrate my painting with my poetry, or infiltrate my poetry with my painting, because I think they both go together. Because a writer is a poet and is a painter, because basically what you're doing, you're painting a story with words. I will also paint a story with an image. So we get into this thing. And even when I write when I publish my books, the stories I write in there are not just simply fancy as, let me write something. I think I tend to talk of the social conditions that I have seen, or the situations that other people are seeing, and I am being the storyteller. For example, like Mo William. Mo William is the story of a woman in a village. But it's not just a story of Mo William. It's Mo William telling us of what happens within any village in Dominica.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all know that if you want to get the biggest beef or tory or what, just hop into a shop and sit in there for a few hours. And even if you're not being noticed, but you'll notice it because you're hearing all little beef. People drink a few and everybody wants to begin to talk. Somebody comes, they meet somebody else, and oh, so and so, this, yeah, that, now. So, you know, the author, the writer, we paint just because I'm sure Nigel can use any of my written work and create a play if he wants to. Or a painter can listen to one of my poems and say, you know what, I can paint this poem and it will represent what you want. Because that's why usually when I write and I want to have images in my book, I submit the poem to the author, to the artist, and tell him what we need. And my most frequent artist was Ron Deja, so rest in peace. I say, Ron, that's what I want to do. Here's the poem, here's this, read. And he goes and he creates an image that tells the story of exactly what the poem says. So I think we all tied in or whatever. It's one building block upon the other. And I don't think I could do as well as I do with my writing if I didn't use some of what I write when I paint, or when I paint, if I use some of what I see. Because I'll tell you something, I'm home and a thought just hits me and I run to my garage, pick up my canvas, and I begin to paint. And sometimes I maybe just here and I just pen a few poems and I tell my wife, look, read this, tell me what you think. Or I send it to my daughter and say, look, Monday, you know what? I just wrote this. What do you think? They have their opinions, but I tell them exactly what it is, and then we make a few changes. I think it is where we will become the voice of people sometimes, and that's one of the things that we appreciate, if people appreciate what we do.
As you say, appreciate, and I know everyone would probably would kind of agree with me on that though. In terms of our literature, do you think that we should have more of our local literature in our schools? Something like Ma Williams.
Are you trying to get me in trouble here, man?
Yeah, that's the whole idea. We're connecting. So in terms of our local literature, or local artists, you do poetry, you do short stories, you do prose, you have books out there. There are other writers who have books out there. But do you think we should just, it's at a point where we need to have that sort of local literature talents within our schools, communities, and so on? Okay,
before I go there, Ivona, a few years ago, you were on the radio with Alex
Bruno,
and you guys were discussing the trips during the summertime to the different villages, traveling on the trucks and stuff. I know you remember that.
Oh yes, and Nigel and I, we always do that as well. Yes.
And around that same time, I was working on 2 weeks, one summer. And I was at a point where it's like, you know what? When I heard that discussion with you and Alex that day, I said, well, you know what? I think I'm in the right place. And I kept on writing.
Well, Nigel, good man.
Of course you're good.
I kept writing and I finished the book because I said, you know what? A lot of people say, well, those things happen in the old time. But when I realized that you and Alex, up at this time in life, was still able to relate to those situations way back then, I said, well, I wasn't alone. People will think this is old-timeish, but this is what
I'm proud of this.
Helped to make us the people that we are. So, Nigel, going back to this little troubling thing that you asked me, I want to say one thing, but when I was at SMA, Robert Germain
SMA coming up there.
But
Germain gave me an opportunity to use the dawn
The what?
in my English classes.
Yes.
The what? Say that again? I didn't get that.
The dawn. Like
Oh, okay. DAWN. Okay.
Yes.
And I usually used to have little sessions with the boys, take them out around the school, around the statue and under the coconut tree, little groups, and tell them just to read. And Robert Jimmy bought a certain number of books and give it to the kids, let them read. And that was, I didn't feel as good as I did that time, any other time in my life. Because I realized that here was Brother Jeremy, the principal of the school, saying that I, as a member of staff, had something to offer to the students I was teaching. And what made it better is that I was able to help the young guys themselves understand what I was writing. And also to this day, I still meet guys who make certain comments about those days. So it was good. And I don't know what it is, but not only because of I want it done, but I think it is something that should have been done many, many years ago. There has not been any, and I may be saying that and I'll get my head cracked open, but it's the truth. There has not been enough exposure given to the local writers in Dominica. We have too many writers, besides myself, who have quality work that could be shared with our students in the primary schools, in the high schools, that is not being done. And the days, I still sit back and I laugh at some of the poems that we were forced to learn.
Yes.
Came to us from England.
Yeah. The Cold Drop Over the Moon.
Things that had no relevance to our upbringing. But now we have so many writers in Dominica. I mean, and, it's a pity when I relate to people, the hoops and the circles and the tunnels that I have to go through to get the authorities to appreciate or accept, to understand that you can at least do something about sharing the work of local writers.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are too many of us there who have written and say, okay, you know what, I'm trying to get, and with some of the book places too. So
yes, we have a lot of. In fact, I was very happy when I was looking at my daughter's, my last daughter's, her book list for literature. I have to get this book, Good Morning, Miss Millie, written by Olin Holy, the late Olin Holy. So I'm really hoping that, we can see more of that at the school level, our local writers.
And we have the people who are capable of guiding our young people in those areas. And even if you don't want to make it part of the everyday curriculum or something, but at least have sessions where you can expose kids or the students to local authors. And the scrutiny that some of our local authors have to go through to get one of the books into the school system. I mean, I have given up basically now.
Yeah.
I have tried on so many times to get even some of the bookstores to get copies of my book sold, or to meet with the ministry, and they have to go through all this and that, and it's like, no, I'm not writing anything that is not suitable for the kids. There's nothing in there. It's not porn, it's not this, it's not that. So why do we have to go through all it? And unless we do that, we are not going to develop the people that we want in our community. We're not giving our students the ability to understand, well, if Nigel is able to write a play and it's performed in another country, but I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
I can stage a play, I can write a play for my
Mm-hmm.
No, I started. I did plays too.
Mm-hmm.
I used to write plays for groups in St. Joseph. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody heard of the Great Story that we performed in St. Joseph, where I used just the kids from the village. And we had that play for about 2-3 years. You know, went to different parts of the island. And it is important that we expose, because why are we bringing in books from other island, from other islands? So
Yeah, because I remember when I was a little girl growing up and going to school, we used to have that book, Ken and Joy and On the Beach. And these were Caribbean writers. And that was long ago. I really take your point. And I think that we have to recognize our writers, our local writers more, because we have so many. But when I hear what you're saying, it's really unfortunate this is happening.
But we don't give up here, Giftus. That's one
no,
of the
I'm not.
things we
No,
do.
if I
We don't.
had given up, I would have stopped writing.
Oh, definitely. And at some point, we have to find a different way to make it happen. For example, I always thought that we have the independence competitions where you have the short stories, the poetries, we have the winners, but we don't even hear about them, and all that work is just they're sitting somewhere.
Yeah.
So but we have to find a way to ensure that we continue pressing forward to make sure it happens. It may not happen over the next couple of years, but at some point it will happen. Look, now we have Good Morning, Miss Millie being introduced. We've had so many of our writers have gone through, and someday it's going to happen. We have to keep pushing through. But let me ask you though, as someone who you write poetry, you write short stories, you prose, you do paintings, artists, you combine all of those things. Do you have any particular preference for one over the other, or they all have the same love and passion?
They all have the same love and passion. It depends as to, as they say, you get up in the morning and, should I go into the garage and paint today? Or should I take my camera and go out and do some photography? It goes with the highs and the lows. Some days I will just sit at the computer and type away. Other days I may spend a whole day in the garage, or just pick up my camera and walk somewhere and do some shootings. That's why I always tell people, I told my wife once, I'm going to come to Dominica, just the close of my back and my camera. Because I'll tell you something. Whether we do not see it or we don't appreciate it, when you use a camera and you can record all the different spots of Dominica, the nature, the beauty, the taste of that, and you sit down and you go through them one by one, we ask ourselves, but what is the problem? Because I don't know if, I always tell myself, maybe I may have been guilty of that too, but do we appreciate what we have? Do we see what we have? I guess again, I think, is it because maybe it could be that we're around it so much that we take it for granted. I was in a Caribbean country recently, and when I saw what some people were going crazy about, it's like, wow, you're telling me? And whenever I visit Dominica, I come back here, I have almost 300-400 photographs to develop. Because wherever you turn, there is an aspect of life that captures you. It could be the way people behave, the way people move, the things that people do, the beauty of the country, the water, the rain, the dark clouds coming in suddenly from nowhere, the sunset, the games that the kids are playing. There is enough to keep you busy. But I guess, as I say, we don't appreciate or we don't realize what we have until we lose it. I'm hoping that a country like ours, the people that we have, we never get to that point. And again, they say usually when you're wrong what you have, you say, well, I'll have time to say it, or I'll go there and say it. But sometimes it disappears so quickly, you have no idea. I mean, look at Layu River, man. That was a joy, you know. You could go anywhere in a river, you could hang out, you could take. Now, after what happened, it's like, wow, we lost the river. That's what it. So it's although it still flows, it's not the majestic, as we would call it, that river that we used to watch.
That you used to have there.
You know what I mean? So it's.
Let me ask you, Giftus. Let me ask you, for someone like Ivona, you know, Ivona loves writing, by the way. She has a lot of work, but she's never published it. She just keeps it to herself, right? But she loves writing. For someone like Ivona, what would you tell her?
Ivona, what should I tell you, Ivona? Listen, I'll tell you something. If you want to write for yourself and you want to keep it for your children, okay, all right, no problems. But if you think that what I'm writing is good enough for the world, you know, and I always tell people, if I publish my book and nobody buys it, all right, something happened. But if I publish my book and one person buys it, I am sure there is one thing in this book that this person is going to appreciate. If you write your book and 50 people say, man, that was a waste of time. But one person comes and says, Ivona, you know, I enjoyed what you were saying there. And as I tell you, when I listened to that, it's at least 5 years ago, I'm sure, 4 or 5 years ago, when you and Alex were having this discussion. And people do not understand some of these things, but they have a lasting impression on you. And I remember because my days when we used to live at Coco Center, all we knew was a wooden box taking us to St. Joseph. That's what we can relate to. And if we can write something that will make you feel good, make you feel proud of yourself, and make you believe that I helped somebody appreciate what is around them or how they feel. I mean, as they say, it's not how many got lost, but how many could be saved. Because if you lose all, there's no hope. If you save one, there is hope. So I started with one book, The Dawn, and here I'm on my 10th book.
Wow, I tell you. If I had not procrastinated back then, I tell you,
I'm working on another one. And it's because I just believe that if I have the ability to me, it's worth keeping it hidden and share it. And I'm sure Ivona, you'd like people to share with.
Yeah, and I feel confident that it's not bad. It's not bad.
And it's not
bad.
A difficult thing to do anymore to publish a book. It's very easy those days. We all can do it. But it just takes the passion and the commitment.
But as you're saying that, Giftus, I know we kind of winding down on time. As you're saying that, and back to what, with Ivona and her publishing her work and so on. We used to have, like, the literary sessions. We had the Dominica Writers Guild. We had where you could go and share your work first to kind of get a sense of what it was like before you go out there. I don't think we really have that anymore. So that might be a reason why people like Ivona and others who have works don't get the opportunity to share with others, to get critic and move on with it. Is that something that's missing out, Ivona? Do you think that
it happens at times, but it's not often. It's rare. No. It really happens. There are some avenues, created for that purpose, but not like before. Not like before. Before you'd have that, that urge to just go up on stage and just, go in front of a crowd, and just, give out your work. But it's not like that again.
So that's missing as well, right, Giftus? I know you were involved with the Writers Guild and everything. I know time is coming against us.
It's not as vibrant as before, so a lot has changed. A lot has changed. A lot. Nigel, I'm looking at the time.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying this discussion with Giftus. I'm relaxed and just,
I can see
enjoying this.
that.
I'm really enjoying this. Wow.
Yes, and I think what's going to happen, Giftus, after this, she's going to go back and complete her writing that she
Yes.
started last night, and I
Is
think
this
it's going to
basically
give her,
what
it's
we
going to
said?
give her a little more inspiration and confidence to share the works with the rest.
I believe the thing is, Ivona, they say when a baby is small and wants to start to walk, once that baby makes the first step and thinks, well, oh, I can do it, baby moves on. So trust me.
All right.
The
Well,
day
thanks.
you
What is
put
my
that-
passion?
the
It's
day
my
you put the
passion.
first manuscript together, we won't hear the end of it. You'll keep going. Trust me.
Thank you. It's my passion. Imagine I'm on vacation, but I have to take some time, a lot of time for writing. But Nigel, I'm looking at the time and we have to leave.
Yes, it is that time again.
Wow.
You know?
We have to leave.
But we appreciate it, though, Giftus. We appreciate connecting with you. Like I said, going forward, this is going to be your Saturday mornings. Because we do have, a number for the Dominicans that
we have had a lot of writers in the past as well.
Yes, we've had writers in the past. We've had Anthony Lockhart here with us. We've had Gerald Latush.
Justice Irvin Andre.
So we've had quite a lot. So, we want to keep the connection going for Dominican people throughout the diaspora. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you sharing with us. For those who might probably want to get access to your works, any particular way they can get that?
Yeah, you can look out for me on Amazon. My books are all available from Amazon except Macy Quick Quack.
Yeah, I was looking for this one in particular.
It's a different company, but you could just do a search and I'll have to, it's usually sold directly from me because of the way the publisher did his own stuff. And if you're in Dominica, anybody who knows Johanna John or Avril Chinese John or Daniel, they have copies of my books and they can be purchased. And I usually send little packages every now and then when they run out.
Okay.
But if you're online, you're on Facebook, anywhere else, just look out for Giftus John. Drop me a note. If you're in Dominica, Avril.
All right. Well, so we have to end. There's another program. We are already late. But let me thank you, Giftus John. Gift to us. I like this. Gift to us, John. Let me thank you for being our guest. Keep on listening every Saturday. We have interesting guests. We laugh a lot. We always go back in time. We like to reminisce about those good old days that made us who we are now. So keep listening. And it was really a pleasure having you as our guest this morning.
And my pleasure reuniting with my former student. And also to...
And if we ever have you on again, please don't mention SMA too much. I mean.
We will just start with SMA, that's all.
That's all right. But it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
I am tied to SMA from beginning to the end.
Okay.
A pleasure to meet you and be on the program with you.
All right. Thank you.
This is your nation station, DBS Radio.
I love DBS. What you gotta do? DBS is what you need, what you want.
So tell me what you want.
DBS, of course.
Tell me who you need.
DBS, of course.
Tell me who you want.
DBS, of course.
Well, I'll sing it again.
DBS.
Bagay binda
Salute.